Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a new breed of winter storms that are going to be making their way across the western United States and into the rest of the United States. Now, these I call a new breed of storms because they're going to be different from the storms that we saw, and I'll do a region by region analysis of what these storms will bring. And some regions across the U.S. and Canada will be seeing a lot more precipitation, snow, rain with this, while others may not necessarily see much more, or they will be seeing something completely different from what they're currently seeing with regards to the current weather pattern. Obviously, right now, as I'm recording this video on the 23rd of December, there is still a lot of those blizzard warnings up, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, wind chill warnings, wind chill advisories, winter storm watches, flash flood watches. I mean, everything, right? So this is a massive, still really incredible storm system that we've had and we've dealt with over the past few days. But I do want to move on and start talking about new systems, as I like keeping this channel pretty forward looking. And again, the next 1 or 2 days, we'll kind of disinvalidate this video within a few hours, as a lot of this is going to wrap up by tomorrow. So let me give you a quick little rundown of what's to come with the system. Obviously, an extraordinary system. There's just no way around it. In terms of snowfall, the snow amounts were a bit lighter than expected across most areas. However, the winds, the cold, pretty much as forecasted, and the strength of the system as well, incredible. And again, as I mentioned, by tomorrow, so Christmas Eve, there's just going to be a heavy lake effect, and of course, very strong winds across much of the United States. That is east of really the Mississippi. Even across the south, it won't be as windy, but still relatively cold for this time of the year. Let me start talking about the northwestern United States. Again, click on your region to see how the storms will impact your area. If you live on Maine, if you live in the Northeast, Maine, for example, don't watch the next few minutes here as I talk about the Northwest. You won't find anything useful here. Skip to the Northeast part, etc. Let's start off with the northwestern United States. I'll show you a few different models, but for the most part, I'll try keeping this video a bit shorter than most. So right now across the Northwest, the system that we've been talking about the past few days, it's done. However, we have a new one moving in. Now this one you can see is loaded with moisture, not as cold. So a lot of the snowy areas that got snow, like Seattle with the previous system, are seeing in fact rain, more typical for this area. Notice that this big beast is different from the other storms, and this is a new breed of systems because you can see they're coming off the Pacific and they're very strong. The previous ones, we've had one system that was strong across the west and developed into a massive blizzard across the north central United States. This one you can see, or sorry, the one that we just had, that blizzard that's still occurring, really started off as a very weak storm across the west. Not these. You can see they slammed the northwest. They limit their precipitation across Montana, say Wyoming, Idaho, into Wyoming and Utah. But again, you can see there's just one after the other. So these systems are more like we've been seeing in late November, early December with the onslaught that we saw a few weeks prior to really today, where we really saw those snowpack valleys across, especially this year, are really shoot up and are still above average because of those storms. So notice that the first wave for the Northwest, Sunday into Christmas Day, it's going to be kind of in between storms, so that's good. But quickly, through the day on the 26th, we see more precipitation moving into Washington, southwestern Canada, Oregon, and you can see a big one, very, very heavy rain across the coastal areas of Oregon and California, not even coastal areas, well inland. Notice the lack of cold air, so a lot of the mountainous areas that typically see snow will start off as rain and actually stay rain. Further north and west, there's a bit more snow or cold air, so that snow is a bit more prevalent. So notice the 27th, 28th, this is all still very snowy, and you can see this spills into Nevada, into the Wasatch, into the Colorado Rockies, and then eventually into potentially Wyoming and into maybe the plains as some sort of a system. Notice that on Friday, as soon as that system's done, so this is already the second one right here that's going on. The first one coming in right now, and the third one moves in on Friday the 30th, right before New Year's. Again, a lot more snow with this one for the mountains, Nevada, Idaho, still very heavy rain, and you can see it becomes also a pretty nasty system as it moves into the mountains here, dropping quite a bit of snow. Then on Saturday we have yet another one. So again, several systems. Again, the first ones will have a lot less cold air with them, so there will be a lot more rain, especially with that first one on the 26th through the 30th across California and Nevada. Then the ones that come in Saturday, Sunday, and Monday into the new year are going to have a bit more cold air, so more snowfall out of those. But notice the storms just keep coming for you guys. It's going to be system after system. I don't want to get into too big of details, dividing them, which which days. For that, please go to the weather.gov and click on your local office for the precise details. I'm just here to tell you the next few weeks for you guys are going to be busy with active weather, either snow, either rain, depending on your elevation and which system, because as you saw, different storms bring different conditions. Maybe drying out as we get past the first week of January. That would be probably good, right? I mean, the amount of precip that will fall in this time is going to be incredible, especially across the coast. Further inland, you can see Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, a lot more limited. However, into Idaho, Nevada, Utah, the kind of the Midwestern states here, in terms of not the Midwest, but not as far east as Montana, but not as far west as Oregon. You can see that they are also be picking up quite a bit. And in terms of total snowfall, also obviously very impressive amounts. Again, with the first systems a bit less, but with those third, fourth, and those fifth, one after the other, as there's more cold air left in the wake of each one, there's going to be a bit more snowy. You can see some of these snowfall amounts are very impressive. Look at British Columbia, look at Alberta, across the plains, also picking up some snow here. Not as significant as these areas, but there can be some records here in terms of the total snowfall. I would not be surprised to see some amounts approaching well over 100, maybe even 200 inches in some of these onslaughts. And some areas will just see continuous precip for literally 2 weeks in the form of snow or rain. So incredible, incredible. If you look at the European model, very much of the similar scenario. Again, watch the Northwest here. You can see Washington, Oregon, into Idaho, into Montana. We have storm after storm coming in. The first one, again, moving in right now, kind of fizzles out pretty quickly. You can see into Saturday and Sunday, but then right onto the 26th, we see that big one, especially into Northern California, Nevada. And then after that, we see a little bit of a break, but again, just like the GFS, the European keeps up the onslaught with some pretty nasty systems, and you can see more of them bring snow later on. So by the 2nd of January, this is what, like the 4th, 5th system in a row. And again, the total amount of precipitation that will be occurring from these is incredible. The European agrees with the GFS on that. Obviously, it shows a little bit less because the GFS went out to 15 days. This one goes out a bit less, only 240 hours. But again, within that time, up to a foot of precipitation could fall in some areas, meaning rain. In terms of snow, obviously a lot more. But again, it could be more. Given the amount of storms are moving in, it's just a lack of cold air won't necessarily be too impressive. So notice there, there will be some pretty incredible amounts across the Sierra. It will just be more secluded towards the higher elevations. As we push forward, as you saw with the GFS, some of the snowfall will start expanding to lower elevations, including, potentially some, again, more populated areas. And that's a good thing, though. We want the snow across the mountains. So that is that. And again, I wanted to pull up the drought monitor. You can see the Northwest and the general West is pretty dry, so a lot of this precip is going to be pretty welcome. Let me move on now towards the Southwestern United States, as this is another area that's going to be really heavily impacted by these new systems. Again, completely different from the ones we've been seeing, and this is probably going to be a welcome sight here. Obviously, everybody knows the West, especially California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona even, but mainly those three first ones I mentioned are really dealing with a bad drought. It's gotten better for the past, half year with the really heavy monsoons over the summer, but the reservoirs are still running really low, so a lot of this precipitation will be welcomed. And you guys look at this. So moving in on Monday, the first storm for you guys, unlike the Northwest, will be this 26th through 30th time frame. Really profound amounts of rain across Northern California. There will be some mountain snow. It will be limited, though, due to the fact that there's not going to be that much cold air with this system. In fact, it's going to be pretty darn warm. If you look at the 2-meter temperature anomalies, you can see they're running well above average. So very limited snow for the mountains with this first one. Obviously, the areas that do get it will get a lot, but it's not as significant as it should have been, or it could be. Notice as it spills into Colorado, Utah, a bit more impressive with that snowfall. However, that's not it. As the GFS, I play this for you, notice you'll just see storm after storm, and each one begins to bring more and more snow for the mountainous area. So you can see there's another one moving on the 30th. You can see a lot more snow with that one. Again, for the Utah, Nevada area into Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, again, more snow as well. So this isn't bad news in terms of the precipitation. That's very welcomed, especially the snowfall. However, it's just that there's going to be an incredible amount of this precipitation falling here, bringing those snowfall amounts, obviously to a very high amount, especially towards the later parts with those storm systems that are going to be moving in. Past, I would say the 30th, because up until then there will be some snow, will be more limited in nature. Though you can see Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, great for the skiers, great for the water. Obviously, there could be a bit more snow with this if the pattern was a bit more conducive for this, because given the amount of precipitation that will be falling in general, a lot more of this would be nice to see as snow. But it's still not bad to see that. That snow in the 80-inch range there. Sierras are already running above average. So is Nevada, so that's going to help Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, a bit drier than normal. Utah is still around average, but especially Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. So that's going to help some of these areas pick up a lot of that. Catch up on a snowpack. You can see that in terms of the groundwater, surface is not bad. You can see the droughts are actually in some areas gone, but if you look at some of the mountain snowpack across some of these areas, it's pretty minimal. So that's we want that for the summer. Let me show you the European model on this website. Again, just like the GFS, it also shows a lot of precipitation. You can see a bit less because it only takes us through 240 hours. Still showing up to 50, 60 inches across portions of the Sierra. Maybe not the far southern Sierras or here into just north of Los Angeles near Big Bear Lake, as those areas will be a bit too warm to see that snow. But you can see across Arizona, New Mexico, some decent snow, and Utah, Colorado as well. In terms of rainfall, so for the areas that aren't in the mountains, it will also be a very prolific event. Cities like Sacramento potentially getting into 4 or 5 inches, San Francisco as well. So definitely a strong, healthy event here. These systems are going to be very powerful and very big, almost every single one of them. Let's move on to the north central United States. Now this is where it starts getting interesting. So again, a new breed of systems, and that's going to bring a remarkable change. So right now the north central United States is frozen. If you're watching from this area, it's probably cold. I know in my area right now, as I look at the thermometer, it's -3 Fahrenheit. Very, very chilly. Honestly, as much as I love the cold, even a little bit too chilly for me. A few days, that's fine. But I'd prefer a little warm up. But what you'll see in the next coming days is pretty incredible. So notice that in the next few days, 24th, 25th, cold, warming though, each day getting warmer. Do notice that there will be a clipper across the Dakotas, especially North Dakota, sliding into Minnesota. It's a clipper. These are notoriously hard to predict. Do expect that somewhere within this vicinity, you will be seeing a few inches of snow late Christmas Day into Christmas, or sorry, the day after Christmas. You can see that spreads into Illinois, Indiana. Given how much cold air there is, this won't have a problem producing snow. Mainly again, snow event all the way into Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana. And after that, you can see a profound pattern change with a lot of warm air. Let me quickly show you some of the snowfall amounts from that pattern, or sorry, from that clipper according to the GFS. I'll show you it on this website because this website gives us a proper snowfall ratio. As it's cold, that clipper will be bringing fluffy, and very fluffy snow. So you can see, according to the GFS with the most latest model run, these areas could expect anywhere from 3 to 4 inches with this clipper. Again, depending on exact track, that's gonna obviously change, but for now, that's what we have. Let's go back to the GFS on this website and continue showing you in the north central United States. As I mentioned, there's going to be a remarkable warm-up. So you can see a lot of these millibars that are tight, strong winds from the south. The temperature anomalies are above average. So we go from being record cold to potentially some record warmth. And do note, not for everyone. You will see snow further up towards the north, most likely, as again, those massive systems moving from the west. These will cause a lot of rain for these areas. That's not necessarily good. The ground is frozen. That could cause some flooding. Good news is there will be a few days of warming so the ground can thaw, and a lot of these areas, as you look at the drought monitor, aren't too terribly saturated. So again, the water, other than the fact that it will be the ground, other than the fact it will be frozen, it could absorb quite a bit of precipitation. And notice that inevitably with any of these storms, obviously that's further north, many of these areas will be into rain across even as late as as early as the next week, last week of December the 30th, but there will be snow on the northern side. Again, the exact track of this is still undetermined. It doesn't look like a monster, but it looks prolonged. You can see heavier rain to the south here, a nice rain producer, a little bit of snow to the northern side. The cold air will be rather limited in these scenarios. At this point, notice that these areas don't terribly see a lot of snow, and the storms that do end up forming are more of just these moisture blobs. They're not intense monsters, so that's good. Also a break from these, from these beasts. But notice a little kind of disturbance bringing some snow there, so we'll have to see. The pattern is very, 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 very zonal, and you can see that right there. We have another system bringing some rain, snow mix into Michigan, the UP, maybe a little bit of colder air moving in towards the end. Again, not terribly active, though there will be a few disturbances, and again, each model run kind of changes this slightly. In terms of total snowfall, as of right now, you can see some of the areas that are going to be picking it up are again favored towards the north besides that clipper system. The main news story I would say for these areas is warmer temperatures. That's going to be the most noticeable difference, especially for the after I would say we get past the 26th and 7th of December. Notice the cold air really quickly swoops away. By the 28th, midweek next week, we see warm air again. Potentially some areas experiencing an incredible temperature change, going from negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit to, let's take a look at this, potentially 50s and 60s as far north as Illinois, Indiana. Really, I mean, it's probably going to feel nice, dare I say, after such cold air. Good news is, for those that don't like the warmth, it won't really last for too terribly long, and it'll become more mellowed out. You can see 40s, 30s, so more seasonable as we get into early January. Don't think winter's over yet. It's far from it. There are some early signs that into mid-January we could see a return that's pretty vicious. European model, if you're to take a glance at it, also relatively similar with that same opinion. Kind of a zonal flow, bringing a lot of precipitation into the form of rain. Also a little bit of snow, obviously, but way more limited than with the previous systems. There's that clipper that the European also shows. Quite a similar track to the GFS, a bit weaker though as it scurries through Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, and whatnot. Notice there's the big systems across the west, but focusing on north central United States, we see some snow, we see some rain. Again, a lot warmer temperatures overall speaking for you guys here. So, the big storms aren't going to really affect you with anything incredible across the north central United States. And it's actually probably going to be a lot more calm and sane weather compared to what we've been seeing. Notice a little bit of rain. Again, not even a terribly organized system. We're pretty weak. 997, 997, 995. Barely strengthening as it moves off. Maybe a little bit of cold air behind that. Each system is going to bring something different. And again, it wouldn't be surprising to see one of these turn into maybe a bigger storm, but again, it's a very zonal flow, lack of any temperature contrasts that are too extreme, so the storms don't really form into anything massive. So a very interesting pattern, and we'll just have to wait and see for the north central United States. Again, biggest news story I would say is a profound warm up. South central United States, another area that will be impacted by these storms pretty significantly. Now, I don't want to say that these storms will be bringing any snow for you, because it's quite the opposite. Notice you guys are stuck with quite a bit of cold weather right now, but that's quickly going to start waning. So through Christmas, that's going to stick. By the 26th, we see some warning from the west. You can see western Texas getting in that, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, and then by the time the 28th is here midweek, it's essentially some potentially very very warm temperatures, maybe even some record warmth. I mean, there could be 60s, 70s down here. Incredible change from what we've just been seeing, and obviously with such temperature, warm temperatures, there's going to be quite a bit of a rain threat here, and I'll show you that on a GFS. So going back a few hour periods here, again, that cold air moves away. Again, you can see that system, one of the systems that moves in from the west, one of the many ones, delivers some sort of showers, maybe some severe weather. It's going to be limited. These systems aren't too strong. It's too weak of a pattern to produce any large monsters, although you could see some rain. Nothing, I would say, too atypical, besides the fact that it will be way warmer than it should be for this time of the year here. And I'm assuming for a lot of you guys that live here, it's going to be pretty nice. I mean, you've been obviously you guys did get a little bit of cold air with the past system, right? To say the least. Right now it is pretty darn cold across Texas. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't really like that. Some do, but at least you got a taste of it, because in the future, 60s, 70s, maybe even some 80s towards the coastal area. So really nice warm temperatures, something that you have to look forward to. And that thing could look like if it's gonna stick around for quite a while. Obviously, winter's not done. I expect that there will be some colder time periods, even compared to what we were seeing now in the future, but you can see it's definitely going to be a nicer weather pattern for the south central United States, with again some rain mixing in as well. Northeast, another area that's going to get impacted by these storms, but not in the way you think. Again, right now you're stuck with a lot of snow, especially for the inland areas, coastal areas, just a lot of cold. This will stick well into Christmas, even Christmas Day, but by midweek next week, again, once that clipper kind of passes through, maybe a little bit of light snow for you through Wednesday, Tuesday, but then we start seeing warm temperatures, really warm temperatures, as marked by those colors. You can see the rain is way past the Canadian border, so a lot of the South Canadian cities as well here, you're gonna guys be mainly dealing with a rain. You may have inches of snow right now on the ground, but by New Year's Day, you guys will be very warm, potentially into the records with how warm it will be here. You will be experiencing 30s, 40s, 50s, even as far north as the St. Lawrence River Valley. So a remarkable change. And then notice maybe that by Sunday some sort of a system pushes through here. So again, the systems will be monsters across across the west. But for the northeast, there will be kind of turned into these, maybe something decent here. We'll have to see. But the biggest change will be obviously the warmer temperatures, lots of rain, well, limited rain, but with the snow melt, it's gonna exaggerate those flooding issues. And then after that, this is just the next few weeks, because after that, the pattern looks like it might get cold again. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, I don't really see. This is just kind of like a midwinter thaw, and quite frankly, if you were to look at the weather models, I recall it was, I think, the second week of December, quite a while ago, or maybe it was even the first one. I noticed that around January into December into January, they showed some sort of a thaw, so that was accurate, which was interesting. But if the models are accurate now, which they're showing a big cool down back down into, I would say, the middle of January, that could also be true if the warm up was true. So again, enjoy the warmth while it lasts, because winter, I believe, still hasn't shown its worst yet, and I think it's far from that. Notice into the future, January 6th into Friday, maybe some sort of a system here developing. At this point, this is far out, right? But the fact that it will be a lot more limited says something. And again, you can see more precipitation, maybe more in the form of snow. So for the northeast, according to the European model, it's a very similar scenario. Very cold. We see some, a remarkable warmth across the next week and into the new year. Then we start seeing maybe some sort of a cooling pattern into following the first or second week into January. But again, it's going to bring a large change compared to what you guys have been seeing. Southeastern United States, again, for you guys as well as a good portion of the United States, warmer temperatures, a lot more rain, and no cold or snow. So again, right now you guys have been dealing with a lot of cold. You can see those blue lines, the warm lines, the red lines are going to start creeping up. You can see quickly by the 26th, 27th, that little clipper system might bring a little bit of snow. Kentucky, Tennessee on Monday into early Tuesday. That moves out of there quickly, and we see very warm temperatures. I mean, quite frankly, honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I have quite a bit of gardening still left to do across my garden, things I want to wrap up or just get ready for the spring. So I'll take full advantage of this. I'm sure many of you guys will as well. Notice that 2-meter temperature shaded. I mean, it'll be gorgeous here. 60s, 70s across the south. Areas that saw frost even the past few days here are going to be in the 80s again across Florida. So really incredible. Obviously, rain comes with that, some thunderstorms. Good news is the severe weather looks limited. These storms aren't going to be massive in terms of the vortices, so the severe weather will just probably be very limited. No big temperature contrast. You can see the warm air continues potentially into the new year for you guys across the southeast. Again, this is not it. Winter's not over, so just because you didn't see snow yet across some of the south here doesn't mean you won't have the chance to, because I believe that into mid-January things will take a sharp turn southwards into the cold. But for now, you guys, and you can see even in this long range here, by the 8th, 9th, we see some cold air moving in here. But for now, there's going to be a nice rebound in terms of temperature, so enjoy that while that lasts. Again, there will be quite a bit of precipitation as well. So let's go back and I'll just give you guys a general overview of the continental United States. You can see the GFS really does not paint a lot of rain for these areas, which is a bit unfortunate. This is where they kind of need that rain the most, as the drought is the worst. However, a good portion of the United States is under some sort of dryness or whatnot. So for the west, these storms will be massive, bringing tons of precip and rain. And for the northeast, the south central, north central, these are going to be bringing some really remarkable changes in the form of more rain, some snow, obviously for the northern area still. This is still winter, and again, it's just a little midwinter warm-up. And warm temperatures, really as far north as, I would say, the Canadian border. Even, North Dakota, while they may be seeing snow, they're still going to be seeing temperatures that are warmer than normal. And again, this extends to southeastern Canada as well. And regarding the future, it looks interesting, and I don't mean that in the form of just, kind of saying that blankly and moving on. I want to show you something. So if you look at the GFS, which is these models that I like to use, they're an ensemble. They go out to 800 hours every day at midnight. So they've been pretty accurate when I've looked at them in the long range for the past few weeks. So notice, obviously, they show the cold air that's currently we're dealing with, and that's obviously the biggest news story. Though again, we see quickly warming temperatures, very quickly warming temperatures, potentially again on a flip side, almost record-breaking warm temperatures across some areas. But then you can see January 3rd, 4th, cooler across the west at this point. Still warm. The warm starts fading, maybe not, as intense. But the models also start disagreeing here. More blue colors starting to mix in. And this is where things get interesting. So the 9th, 10th, again, how long this warm air lasts, we'll have to wait and see. You can see the GFS, the latest GFS, are keeping in this warm air for quite a while. but they do start showing some cool air moving in from the north and west, eventually across the 15th, 16th, 17th, and as you get further and further and further down, it's quite remarkable that they show this much cold air this far out. And you can see by January 20th, January 21st, 22nd, we see some of those, those more winter-like colors moving in and spreading across a good portion of the United States. So yeah, this is honestly, I'm kind of concerned about this, because for me as a I have a bunch of fruit trees that look. You the angel stop for me. Stop. Satan, stop. So I know that some of you that are winter lovers will not like these next few videos I'll be making, about these warmer temperatures and a warmer pattern. However, for those that are the winter lovers, this part of the video where I'm showing you that around mid-January there could be a cool down and back to some pretty cold temperatures, that's obviously some good news. I personally am not too comfortable about looking at this, because I have a lot of fruit trees, right? So I always see for peach trees in my area, they need around -10 Fahrenheit. If the temperature gets below -10 Fahrenheit, then they lose their fruiting buds on the trees, at least the variety that I've planted. So I know that if I have temperatures that are colder than that, and you can see that I'm getting uncomfortable, because a lot of this cold air here is moving in at the coldest time of the year. The third week of January is usually the coldest for North America. So if we see any cool down of what we're seeing similar to right now at this time, that could ruin the chances for those fruit trees. We'll have to see. But again, yeah, winter's nowhere close being done. And I just want to keep that in mind. So yeah, and even during this warmer time period, we could still have a few nasty systems that move in and bring some snow and rain. For now, that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will be keeping you guys updated, obviously, on this, but it's going to be a nice little break into beginning of January. Not as many of these videos about these beasts, these monsters. Just a new breed of systems. For some, like the West, this will be resulting in a lot more activity than they've been seeing. But for the vast majority of the United States, I would say 80% or more, since 80% of the world lives, of the U.S. lives east of the Rockies, then that's going to be a nice little relief there. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next episode. See y'all. Bye.